Anthony drives one, deep left center field. Back goes Campana to the wall. It's out of here!
How's it going, Mets and overall baseball fans? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the first post-game show of 2023. The Metropolitans played 2 games today, their first 2 spring games of the year. They lost that first one. We'll briefly recap, but we're really going to deep dive the nitty and gritty. Everything you need to know from tonight's performance against the Miami Marlins. Winning 5-2 is your final in game 2 of the spring training season for the Mets. A lot to get into. I'm so pumped up. More than anything, people watching the live show right now, please make sure to spam those W's. I want to see it again. This has been a long time coming. So happy to be gaining another year of post-game show content here on WardyNYM. If you're new to the channel, don't hesitate from smashing that like and subscribe button. It's always greatly appreciated, guys. Help us get to our next subscriber goal of 25,000 subscribers. And of course, I have to let you all know that today's show is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is your #1 source for all your sports betting needs. So make sure you head over to betonline.ag using promo code Bleav at BLEAV. That way you get yourself a 50% off welcome bonus. BetOnline, it's where the games begin. And now, folks, let's officially let the show begin because, again, this was a fast game. We're already seeing these rule changes come into play either for the better, for the worse. I'm going to be sharing my personal raw opinions on them and exactly what I like, maybe what I dislike. But these games are going faster, and for someone that, again, covers the Mets for a living, this is going to help me not have to stay up too terribly late each night when I'm covering these evening games. So I'm not complaining about that, at least. But again, a fast-paced game. The Mets came out. They did what we just want to see. We want to see some home runs. We got that today for sure. And more than anything, it was just great to see Mets baseball back. I know a lot of people are excited. I surely am. So again, continue smashing that like and subscribe button. But we're going to be getting into all you need to know about tonight's performance and my reactions. And of course, if we have some time, we'll get your questions as well, including especially donations. We always address those. And shout out all my loyal members here in the live show, watching live or on replay. Really appreciate you guys. But again, happy Saturday to you all, folks. The Mets are right back at it tomorrow, Sunday, on the bump, 1:10 p.m. Eastern time. We have Mad Max Scherzer making his spring debut. Stay tuned. We'll be doing post-game content right after that one as well. But let me just start off before we get into what transpired in tonight's game. Let me briefly discuss what transpired in the game earlier today that I did not cover. It was not covered by SNY. It was still broadcasted, however, from the Astros feed. And the Mets went into the Astros facilities there in Jupiter, I believe, and they lost 4-2 today. Did not have much offense, only 4 hits. Again, the pitching wasn't anything stellar. Again, it is what it is. There were some relievers that definitely stood out to me, however. But the big thing that stood out was Brett Baty, the man who is going to be grinding his way to make not only this Mets roster, but get starting reps at third base. I mean, he went, what was it? 3 for 3 and 2 for 2 or 3 for 3, one of the two, in his intra-squad game with the Mets a day prior. Now today, in his first at-bat in spring, he rips a 2-run ding-dong dead center to give the Mets their early lead with their squad 1, not squad 2. The other squad, of course, played the night game. But Baty, as a whole, went 2 for 2 today. He has went 5 for 5 and has many play appearances between at-bats, rather, from the intra-squad game to today's spring training game and getting on base in some way, shape, or form. Whether that's a home run, whether that's a double, whether that's a single or a walk, he has done it all. He's exemplifying that power. That defense is going to be a big thing to keep an eye on this spring, as Eduardo Escobar will not be partaking in a good portion of spring. He'll be with Team Venezuela for the World Baseball Classic, and I'll get a chance to see him in March. I'll be going to a WBC game or two in Miami. But besides the point, Baty looked fantastic today with the bat. He's a guy that I've told a lot of you guys, I fully expect him to absolutely ball out in spring. He did last year, and I expect him to, and then some this year, and get himself to the point where the Mets have no other choice but to have him on this roster. I truly do expect that to happen, and I'll be a little surprised if it doesn't. Either way, the Mets lose game 1 4-2, as we know. However, when looking at pitching, a couple things did stand out to me. One pitcher in particular that I've talked about for a little bit because we've had subscribers mention me on the channel, and that is Grant Hartwig. He was a non-roster invite for the Mets. Again, he's a guy that started out in single A with the Mets last year and worked his way all the way through the minor leagues. He played in single A, double A, and triple A, and was fantastic on all levels last year. And he had himself a scoreless inning today in that 4-2 loss against Houston. If you go through the entire pitching, you had Reyes getting the start with 2 scoreless innings, Ottavino with a scoreless inning himself, Zach Green, who was the pick that the Mets got from the Yankees in the Rule 5 draft a couple months ago. In order for him to not be returned back to the Yankees, he needs to crack this Mets bullpen, and he had himself a scoreless scoreless inning today, which is great. Eric Orsi dealt with a little bit of a jam, but did not give up any runs. Courtney, who I really don't know who he is, did give up a run today. Same, Muck and Hearn did not do good, only 0.2 innings pitched. He gave up 3 runs total. Acosta, Hartwig had scoreless innings, and that did it for that 4-2 game. So now let's get into the game that just transpired for people that were watching on an SNY. Again, the Mets came out and won. Shout out as well to, let's see, my man for the new membership. Thank you so much for that. Mugen, I don't know how to say that, but I appreciate the membership no less. So happy to have you in here for sure. You have duplicate yearbooks of 86, 87, 88 if you're interested. Oh, absolutely, David. Yeah, feel free to reach out to me either on Twitter at WardyNYM or my email at DRAWT7 at protonmail.com. If you'd like to send especially 86 related, I'm always all ears. I'm always open to that. You can gladly send that in my P.O. box. I have the P.O. box actually in the link down below. It's in the description of the video. So thank you so much for even considering that. Continue smashing that like and subscribe on, folks, if you're watching live or on replay. Again, this won't be a crazy long show tonight. I'm going to just get off my raw thoughts and the statistics from tonight's matchup. We'll have longer post-game shows for sure throughout the regular season when it's warranted of callers and things of that nature. We won't be doing that a crazy amount during spring. This is going to be just a nice recap to get the ball rolling here. But let's start with today's game, folks. Again, the Mets had their first game. It looked like a sold-out crowd, which was awesome. Around 6,300 Mets fans in attendance in Port St. Lucie. I cannot wait to be in spring training. I'll be attending 4 or 5 Mets spring training games from the span of March 10th to March 14th. So look out for the short schmuck that is me during that time if you'll be down there. But the game starts with Jose Buto, who had his one start for the Mets last year in the second half of the year against the Philadelphia Phillies, was absolutely putrid. Again, he was rushed up because the Mets needed arms at the time for that doubleheader. But no less, he comes in today and he has himself a 1.2 innings pitch, 0 hits, 1 earned run that happened after he exited the game, however, but 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, including 3 in the first inning and on 43 pitches. What really stood out to me about Jose Buto, which is why I have him in my top 5 today, is that he has put a new pitch in his arsenal, and that is a cutter. And that definitely got some swing and miss for him. That was effective. I'm excited to see more of Jose Buto. Again, the Mets need as much starting pitching depth as possible. They have plenty right now, but Buto can be a guy to take a step forward this year in AAA. That would be great for them, again, because injuries do inevitably happen, and maybe even as a long reliever type. So he's just good to have as many options as humanly possible. So I was happy to see Buto be effective today. So in the first 3 strikeouts, then in the second inning for the Mets, after doing nothing in the first, they had a walk and 2 outs, that being the Marlins, rather. Buto exits, and Parsons, who's not going to be in the Mets bullpen this year, enters, and then Rizzo for the Marlins has himself an RBI double to give the Marlins an early lead, 1-0. We head to the bottom of the second. Alonso, who raced initially off the field to get back in the dugout in between innings because he was excited. He knew his first at bat would be to start the inning, and he gets himself a solo home run ripped to the left side. I mean, is anyone surprised by Pete Alonso, Pistol Meat Pete, Big Meat Pete, whatever you want to call him? He gets that bomb to give the Mets a tied ball game. Eduardo Escobar surprisingly gets a pop-up single to the right side. First baseman for the Marlins, and just that first to second base area was absolutely putrid defensively for them tonight, and that was on full display with Eddie getting on base there. And then Almonte, who's coming in as, again, a type of fourth outfielder type that will be playing in AAA for the Mets this year. He rips an RBI double that gets Eddie home all the way from first. He hustled his tail off to get there, but he got in there no less, and that gives the Mets the 2-1 lead. We head to the third. Speaking of Marlins, Jeff Brigham, the former Marlin that the Mets acquired with Eliza Hernandez earlier, and literally the first move of the offseason, as a matter of fact, Brigham comes in, and he gets himself Birdie, a walk and a stolen base, and Sanchez with an RBI single and a stolen base. So not the best first outing for Brigham, but again, it's spring. I'm not going to be complaining much at all with these relievers until we get, the multiple reps in for guys are competing for the pen, and Brigham is one of them. So he's definitely got to keep an eye on. We get to the bottom of the third. Jeff McNeil gets himself a walk. Lindor with a single, which would have been an out with the shift. And we saw this 3, if not 4 times with the Mets, where they had favorable hits tonight, all down the first baseline. Normally a gap where it is shifted 99% of the time of all of not only last season, but the years prior when the shift has been implemented more and more. Now, if the rule changes, you can't shift nearly to the same degree. Mets are going to be pulling so many singles and doubles there in that first base area, where you can't have 3 infielders along that side for lefty hitters or switch hitters that will be batting lefty like Lindor. And then you have Vogelback, Escobar. All these guys are going to thrive. And we've already seen that on full display in tonight's spring training game. So Lindor already would have base knock, which would have been an easy out last year. No longer the case. Then McNeil would go on to score on a wild pitch not long after. Alonso would have base knocked, but that'll do it for the inning. The Mets wouldn't do anything else there. They tack on. They were at a 3-1 lead at that point, if I'm not mistaken. Then I'm going to make sure I'm not mistaken. I am not. Oh, it was 3-2. My mistake. Okay, then we get to the fourth. TJ McFarland, a lefty trying to compete for this Mets bullpen. He was with the Cardinals last year. Remember, Brandon Nimmo hit that bomb off of him, I'm almost certain, when the Mets had that 5 unearned run rally in the top of the ninth in St. Louis last year, which was crazy. First it was Gallegos and McFarland, just nuts stuff. Either way, McFarland comes into this one, gets in a little bit of a jam, but I give him credit. He had a 2-on, 1-out jam and escapes it clean, unscathed, without a problem. Then we get to the bottom of the fourth. We have Hoagie Vogelback with a base knock, which would have been an out last year as well. That same spot that Lindor hit it to the first base side, right around there. He gets himself on base, and Almonte with a walk, and McNeil with a base knock. The Mets do not score that inning, however. We get to the fifth. Steven Nagosic, who really looked good in spurts last year for the Mets out of the bullpen, and with whatever way they need to utilize him, he had himself a clean inning there in the fifth. Then we get to the bottom of the fifth. Francisco Lindor with a walk. Pete Alonso with a single. Again, Pete went 3 for 3 today. That is why he's the number 1 star. Vogelback with an RBI base knock. That again for the second time today for him, and the third time overall for the Mets. Would have been it out last year because of the shift. Something to emphasize and to watch all spring long. Almonte would get an RBI single, his second of the day. The Mets would increase their lead from there, and it would stay that way. We get to the 6th. Walker would come in the southpaw. He'd have himself a clean inning. And the bottom of 6, Jose Peraza, the bench mob king back from 2021, the one man who could hit a bomb off of Josh Hader when Josh Hader was on hit. Literally, you cannot hit against that guy back in 2021, especially in his final, close to his final year with the Brewers there. I remember that game in the summer like yesterday, like when Peraza hit that bomb off of him. I think it was an extras. Correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a minute. No less, Peraza does get himself on base, reaches on an error. Again, bad first base defense. The first baseman for the Marlins there let a single right through the wickets. It should have been an easy ground out, yet it goes right through the wickets. Something I would have pulled off because, again, I would have been terrible. Either way, 7th inning, Jimmy Yacobonis, a right-hander with some interesting, a lot of movement with the slider, a guy that, again, is competing for a potential bullpen spot. He had himself a scoreless inning there in the 7th, if I'm not mistaken. Then we get ourselves to the 8th. Is it? I'm double-checking here. Maybe, yeah, I think he gave up a walk. He did. Then we get ourselves to the 8th, William Woods, who the Mets picked up from the Braves this offseason on the waiver wire. Solid reliever in AAA and had a little bit of a stint in the majors this past year with the Mets. Then the Mets DFA'd him. He cleared waivers. He's back with the Mets, and he had himself a clean 8th inning today. And Nathan Lavender, first time I'm hearing that man's name, he got the 9th inning job without a problem, including a strikeout. Mets go on to win this ball game by a final score again of 5-2. And going through the lineup as a whole, McNeil 1 for 2 with a run scored and a walk. Ronnie Mauricio 0 for 2, but Ronnie, again, we're excited to see how he does after dominating the Dominican Winter League as being their MVP over the winter. Tommy Pham 0 for 3, but something that I really liked about Tommy Pham, guys, is he was barreling that baseball big time. He was putting the ball in play 3 times. Exit velo was averaging between 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107. A lot of power behind that swing from Tommy Pham. Just unlucky. Once those balls start to drop, get in the gap, he's going to be surely an effective 4th outfielder / DH based on matchups, pitching matchups, that is, for the Mets. So Jose Peraza 0 for 2 as well, but reached on the error. Lindor 1 for 2 with that run scored and a walk. Cedrola came in 0 for 2. Pete Alonso 3 for 3 with 2 runs scored, the home run, the RBI. That's the number 1 star. Ruiz 0 for 1. Escobar 1 for 3 with a run scored. JT Schwartz 0 for 1. Mark Canha 0 for 3. Luke Ritter, nothing happened there with Luke Ritter. I think he reached on base from a walk. Oh, that was for the Mets. That's correct. Okay. Daniel Vogelback 2 for 3 with a RBI. Did Vogie get RBI? Yeah. No. Let me see. Yes, Vogie got an RBI. Okay. Francisco Alvarez did have an at-bat. He struck out looking, I'm pretty sure. Again, we're going to see a lot of him this spring. Almonte 2 for 2 with himself, the 2 RBIs, the walk and the double. And then that's it. Tomas Nido 0 for 3. And Hayden Senger, who got, again, good barrel, but was still the out. So total solid win for the Mets. Just happy that baseball is back. Again, I don't know about you guys, but this is something that obviously that I've been excited about and waiting for a while. I also don't know about you guys too, but I felt like this offseason went pretty fast because so much happened with the Mets. By the way, I'm not going to wear this hat all year. I'm just going to mix things up. I always wear my black hat, but I kind of want to mix it up a little bit more when I do the post-game shows. Got this new lid not too long ago. And again, I'm not a flat top guy, so I had to bend it, but it kind of snazzy. I kind of really dig it. I love the colors just because I like stuff that's different that you could wear every day. Whether I'm wearing a brown hoodie, a green sweatshirt or even tan. I mean, you get creative, or even a black crew neck. You could do a lot with it. Either way, that's besides the point. It felt like the offseason went really fast because the Mets had these endless moves that they were doing, right? And for someone as me, a Mets content creator, I was covering every single second of it. So it just felt like before a snap of a finger, the season was going to be upon us, and now it is here with spring. We had a little spell entering the year after the Correa sweepstakes finally died down, and that was over with. However, it felt like it went pretty quick. I don't know about you guys. For me, it kind of still feels like that, the Mets season and the wild card ended just a month ago. Like, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but I guess it still was, right? But I'm just so happy to have baseball back. I know that you guys are too. Again, shout out everyone being in here. Again, guys, be sparing with your spams. If you're going to spam, make sure it's for a good reason. Hey, Jack, how's it going? Great member. All my members in here, appreciate you guys and my loyal viewers. Again, guys, if you're new or if you're not, just want to let you know we are doing post-game shows after pretty much every single Mets game this year. We did over 100 post-game shows last year. We'll be doing at least 100, I'd imagine, again this year. I'll be covering tomorrow's game. Won't be covering every single spring training game naturally, but I'm going to cover a good portion of them. I'm really excited to get that rolling for you guys. And one thing that I'm also excited about is that there will be some post-game shows. I'm hoping at least one a week where the format will be different. I might not have the highlights rolling. However, the only reason for that is because I'll have myself with a special guest, and that'll either be someone that we all know very well in the Mets community. It might be someone new that you haven't seen on the channel before. It's all going to be a lot of fun. I'm just so happy to cover this Mets team all year long. Again, we have amassed over 21,000 subscribers in just a 2-year span because of you amazing Mets fans, and I'm just so grateful for all the endless support that you guys have given me over the past couple of years. I'm excited to show you the best Wardy yet here on WardyNYM. Not only that, we're going to be doing hopefully some meetups throughout the regular season too, to do some live podcasts of myself, Anthony Recker, and Joe Sorrell in person in certain areas. A lot of stuff's going to happen. And again, for those that don't know, Anthony Recker is one of my co-hosts. That's why I had him in the intro there at the end, with arguing with the ump, with Angel Hernandez, and then ripping that bomb off of Heath Bell. But again, hope you guys have been enjoying the show. I know that I'm so excited to get this thing rolling throughout the year. I'm going to take comments here in a minute. I'll take, a handful of comments, and I'll probably wrap things up again. Like I said, not going to be a crazy long show tonight, nothing to that nature. But as we get closer to the season unrolling, or if there's just absolutely absurd spring training games, then we'll drag things on a bit longer. But I want to make sure that this is the best viewing experience as possible for you guys, especially for people on replay, because I know a lot of you guys will be watching it there. But one thing that I really want to talk about for a minute before I get to some comments is the rule changes again. So one thing that we noticed a lot in these games was stolen bases, right? The pitcher is only allowed to throw to first base 1 or 2 times, one of the two, tops. Then a guy can essentially get as big of a lead as he wants and bolt to second base. Tomas Nido did not look great with his, the catch and throw right away. However, again, it's early in spring training, not concerned by it. But a lot of guys are going to be running this year, and the Mets need to make sure that even though that they're not the fastest team out there, they need to take advantage of those opportunities as well. The Mets need to be better with their stolen bases. They will be. The enlarged bases also helps the stolen base ability of any runner from first to second, especially just those couple inches will make a difference. And getting your glove on there, that being the hitter, faster than the guy going in for the tag there at second base. So I noticed that a lot. Again, the offense is going to be bing, bang, boom. We also saw earlier today a game with the Braves where it was bases loaded, full count. Braves just need a base knock to win the game, and they ended up in a tie because they took too long with their at-bat. So that is also something that's on full display that we're going to see a lot of hiccups with. I do believe batters only have 7 seconds between each swing, or between each pitch, to make sure that they're in the box and then locking eye contact with the pitcher. That's crazy. We've already seen some delays because of it. Manny Machado yesterday or the day before was a good example as well. He started the count 0-1 because of that reason. So that's something that we really need to be keeping an eye on. All these little rule changes. The pitch clock is crazy. Again, it's speeding up games on the average of a half hour right now, which again, and I put this on Twitter, so I'm curious to know what you guys think. Let me know in the live chat, but also let me know in the comments below for people on replay. As a viewer watching at home, I really like it. And again, you think of younger kids too that normally can't stay up too late for a sports game. This will give them more incentive to watch an entire game because it's only going to last 2.5 hours on average versus 3 to 3.5 a year ago and the years prior. So for speeding up the game, but taking away pitchers taking too long. Chris Bassett can't be shaking off every freaking pitch imaginable out of his 10 pitch arsenal, right? For the Blue Jays this year. He can't be doing that every single at bat with a batter. It just isn't going to work that way. So it speeds things up in that sense. It speeds things up for batters that really like to take their due sweep time because batters can only ask for one timeout per at bat. That's crazy. And again, this is speeding things up. We're going to see hiccups. You're going to see some ugly baseball throughout spring because of it. But once again, it grew from a viewing experience at home. I do tend to like it. However, I think for me at least, I'm not going to like it nearly as much attending games. And that also comes in hand with, I don't reside in New York currently. I live in Pennsylvania. So I take a 2.5 hour hike to Mets games as is. So now you're telling me that, I'm doing that 2.5 hour hike for that same equal time is what an average baseball game is going to be versus upwards of an hour longer. I mean, I go to the baseball game because I enjoy the experience. Yes, I'm watching, but of course you want to walk around for at least an inning at minimum, to get your food, get your drink, mingle with people. I enjoy the entire ballpark experience. And I think it's taken away a little bit. And again, maybe I'll be proven wrong when I officially attend games this year. But I feel like it's taken away a little bit when this game is sped up so much because you're on your toes with every single pitch and every single at bat because you know that there's not much time in between. Pitchers have to think faster, work faster, move faster. Batters, same thing, have to be locked in faster. They can't be lollygagging. They can't be taking their breaths as much as they want to. You just have to go bang, 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 go, go, go. So from a viewing perspective, again, at home, I seem to like it. I don't know if I'm going to like it in attendance. I hope I'm proven wrong, but there's just something about having a lawn baseball game. If you're a true baseball fan, at least in my opinion, from my experiences, I've always enjoyed lawn baseball games. It's a part of the experience. Now, again, there's caveats to that. When you have a doubleheader, for instance, I can understand that could be more of a drag. But for the most part, that is really the biggest gripe I have so far. And I guess we'll see how I feel about it when I officially attend games. And thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Dave, how are you doing, my man? So happy to have you in here. Hope you're doing well. Sprite, hope you're doing well. Jacob, all you guys, appreciate you all being in here in the live chat, guys. And again, if you guys like the format, if you like everything about these post-game shows where you have live highlights rolling right after the game, if you have the statistics, you have everything you're looking for, my top picks, which I might change a little bit actually this year too. Just haven't really changed the format too much yet. Either way, we're going to have a lot of fun this year covering this Mets team and what is going to be the biggest year to cover the Mets yet here in WardyNYM. We started in December of 2020, and this year is surely going to be a doozy. Hopefully better than last year than that wild card series. I really do have confidence. W Mets, how's it going? I did say your name. Just chill with the spams a little bit. Me too. I always get to the ballpark 2 hours ahead of time, or in Florida where I live now, 1.5 hours. Yeah, I definitely try to attend early, but there is definitely times where I'm going to decide to go to a game fairly last minute on that day and be depending on rush hour and doing the hike that I do. I might not get there until the game just starts. That's inevitably going to happen at times. So especially in scenarios like that, I don't love it. But again, I will hold a certain level of judgment for when we actually get to that point. But yeah, Mets fans, I appreciate every single one of you guys being in here. Mets win 5-2 today after losing their initial game against the Astros 4-2, and they look to have a 2-1 record here in spring tomorrow, hopefully getting a win with Mad Max in the bump. And Max will likely pitch probably at least 2-3 innings if I had to imagine. I know he's a workhorse, but I also want the Mets to make sure that they, don't get him too rushed, if that makes sense. I appreciate that, W Mets. Thank you. I attended the second game on the Mets Braves doubleheader last year, says Swag and Burger. August 6th, maybe, and that was a nice long game. I see what you're saying. The fact that games won't be quite like that anymore. My point exactly. And again, I do think that this would be different for me if I was, say, like a season ticket holder and I lived 20, even 30 minutes away from the ballpark. But it's neither of those cases, right? So it's personal bias and judgment. If I'm was in a different setting, a situation, I feel like I would feel different about it, right? But yeah, that's really all that needs to be harped on there. Again, I appreciate everyone that's been in here, guys. I can't tell you how happy I am that Mets baseball is back. I mean, you guys will know, right? Out of the 250 to 300 live viewers watching this, you feel the same way, because realistically, how many schmucks are going out of their way to want to hear a schmuck like me recap a spring training game, So we're sharing this equal excitement, and that makes me really happy, knowing that there's so many diehards out there like you that feel the exact same way about baseball as I do. And I just really do believe that this season is going to be something unbelievably special, and Brett Beatty just has me beyond excited more than anything. Beatty is going to be huge this spring, taking advantage of Escobar being at Team Venezuela for the World Baseball Classic. I really do think that he is going to be quite the difference maker for the Mets this season. To what extent, we'll find out. But I'm higher on Beatty than any other Mets prospect this year, not named Kodai Senga, because I really feel like I can't even name Senga as a prospect, but you get what I'm saying. Let's see. Jacob says, I don't like the automatic balls and strikes. At that point, just tell them to pitch or get in the box. Yeah, that's fair too. Again, there's plenty of things that we're going to nitpick throughout the year. Super Baby says, section 316 at City foul ball. City, I got 2 in 1 season plus 1 hand under my seat. Nice. LGM Ida, yes, shout out to you, Ida. I hope that you are enjoying, the Mets merch that was sent your way. That is awesome. So happy that you were able to win the giveaway we did not long ago. And guys, stay tuned. We will be doing plenty more giveaways throughout the season. This is something that I'm going to be mixing up a little bit too. It's not going to be a situation where we're solely doing giveaways because of a subscriber goal that was hit. I think this year we're hopefully going to be in a privileged situation where we can do more giveaways, hopefully at least once a month, just for the sake of doing them. So that's something that I'm very excited and intrigued about doing. Hope you guys are too. Whether that's giveaways of just merchandise for the Bleav in Queens podcast or myself, or, some type of bobblehead, different types of memorabilia. I mean, if we're ever gifted to the point of getting, signed jerseys and things of that nature, I myself don't even have a signed jersey from, a current player, at least, or someone that I watch. I have a signed jersey, but that isn't going anywhere. It's my prized possession from one of my first OG subscribers, followers, members, who unfortunately is no longer with us, but it's my favorite thing of all time. It's a dual jersey. For the OGs on the channel that know, it's a jersey that has both Buckner and Mookie Wilson's name on it. It's signed by both of them from the iconic play back in the 86 World Series. So that one means everything to me. But in the future, if I'm ever gifted certain jerseys to give away that are signed, especially if I start building relationships with current or previous players like Wrecker, I'm sure some of you guys will like that, right? Then we'll start doing giveaways, things of that nature. So stay tuned for that. A lot of fun stuff is going to happen this year. I think that's really what I'm trying to get at. But with that being said, Mets fans, we are going to wrap things up in a minute. So final score, Mets win today, 5-2. Stay tuned. Post-game show will be back tomorrow. Probably around, I set the time today, might add. Give me credit. Give me a pat on the back if you don't mind. This game, I set it around 4 p.m. Eastern time. I set up the stream. I knew the game was starting at 6:10. I put 8:45 because I'm thinking, you know what? It's probably only going to take that long. And the game ended at 8:44. 8:44. That's fast. And there will be many more Mets games this year that are going to be around 6:45 instead of just 7:10. So again, these Mets games, as long as they're not going extra innings, we're actually going to be able to go to bed at a reasonable time until we have that inevitable West Coast trip early in the season for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. That's going to mess up my schedule for the remainder of the summer. But besides that, it's going to be nice to go to bed at a fairly reasonable time and not have to be up stupid late, especially for me covering these games every day. But guys, that is going to do it. Thank you so much again for watching, listening, live on replay. I love you all to death. Baseball is back. Get pumped up. Get the juices flowing. And stay tuned for great, consistent Mets content, post-game content, podcasts after every series once the season begins, and exclusive interviews and so much more. This is your place to be by Smashing Those Buns. And I will see you all again tomorrow. Happy weekend to you all. Happy Sunday starts tomorrow. Have a great one, folks. Let's go Mets, baby. Peace out.